Hey, what's up guys, it's Caboose XP. I'll bring you another Injustice 2 video, and today we're going to be doing is another installment of the Q&A series. Now for those of you who may be new to the channel and don't know what the Q&A series is, it's pretty straightforward. You guys send in your questions about Injustice 2, whether that be in the comment section of my Q&A videos, or on my Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook linked in the description box below, and just make sure when you send in your question that you use the hashtag AskCaboose. That way I know that you're looking to be a part of the series. So with that out of the way, I also wanted to mention that a brand new Brainiac gameplay trailer just came out this morning. It's up on the channel, so if you haven't checked it out already, you can definitely do so. Before we get into the Q&As itself, I did want to ask you guys if you can leave a like on this video. It shows your support, and it lets me know that you want to see more of this towards the future. You know, there's still a lot more Q&A videos that I can make, especially post-launch with Injustice 2, talking about DLC and everything like that. So yeah, if you guys can leave a like, that would be awesome. But with that out of the way, let's jump into the first question that we have today, coming from Twitter, and this is from Zachary, or @MGFire8, and they ask, do you have your top 5 characters that you're most interested in playing for Injustice 2? Thank you for the question, Zachary. And now this is a bit of a more personal question, just talking about my preferences and stuff when I get my hands on Injustice 2 and which characters I'd like to play as. Now, if we're rounding it out to just a top 5, I guess, of course, I'm going to have the Flash on there. He's my favorite DC hero. He's my favorite superhero in general. And when we saw his gameplay breakdown, he does look incredible. So I do want to play as the Flash. I want to play as Aquaman. I want to see what new things he brings to the table, as well as what's returning with his character from Injustice Gods Among Us. I'd also like to try out Robin. I do like what we saw from him in his gameplay breakdown. Swamp Thing also looks like a badass. And I guess to round out my top 5, I'd probably pick Dr. Fate, as he was one of my favorite character reveals and one of my favorite newcomers to the Injustice 2 roster. But I mean, looking at the entire roster, there are so many characters that I want to try out. Firestorm looks like a lot of fun. We also got characters like Deadshot, who just recently had a character breakdown. He looks like he's got some cool zoning tools. Scarecrow looks really interesting. We also got Gorilla Grodd, who looks like a pure badass. Brainiac, who just had his gameplay trailer today, looks so much fun to play as. This entire roster, I definitely want to try out each and every character, even the returning ones, just to see what new things they bring to the table and to see all these other characters that are new to the Injustice 2 roster. Now moving on, the next question that we have here comes from Blueberry, or @BberriesBerry on Twitter, and they ask, do you think DLC characters could have premiere skins? Now this is a really interesting question, and to be quite honest, it comes down to what DLC characters we end up getting. If we get something like, you know, a Spawn or a Sub-Zero and guest characters like that, there really isn't much room to give those kinds of characters premiere skins, because there aren't characters in their lore, their respective lore, that are exactly the same as them. So it'd be very hard to give those kinds of characters a premiere skin. But if we got a character like, say, Red Hood, then there's definitely some room for characters in the DC lore to be made into a premiere skin for Red Hood. So it all depends on what our 9 DLC characters are going to be, and in that case, we're just going to have to wait and see. So thank you for your question. Now moving on to the next question, also coming from Twitter. This is from Logan, or @meds_nur, N-U-R. I'm not entirely sure how I'm pronouncing that. Sorry if I'm butchering it. But they ask, how do you think they will divide the story mode between the regime, insurgency, the society, and the big bad Brainiac? This is definitely a question that I'm asking myself very often as well. You look at all 5 of the Shadow Alliance's trailers, and there is a lot going on in each and every one of them. We get the regime being rebuilt to try and break Superman out of jail. We got the insurgency working on some stuff, trying to spy on the society, which is now this new organization being run by Gorilla Grodd. And then in the midst of all this, we have Brainiac arriving to Earth and causing havoc and trying to destroy the planet, creating a common threat for everyone to probably unite together and try and take down. And to be honest, that's how the balance is probably going to be in the story mode. With the arrival of Brainiac, everyone's going to have to be forced to work together so that they can all try and stop him. But it's really what happens after that's going to be what I think is the most interesting part of the story mode. Because as we're all kind of assuming, you're going to come to a point where you beat Brainiac in the story mode. He's the final boss and you're going to beat him. But what's going to be most interesting is what happens after that. Does Superman still turn evil? Is he still going to try and be a dictator and try and take over the world again like he was attempting in the first game? Is that going to set up maybe an Injustice 3? Who knows? I mean, that is what I think is the most important part, the juiciest part of the story, is what's going to come after them uniting and working together to try and stop Brainiac. It's just, I'm very intrigued, and I think they're going to do it well. I think they're going to do the game justice, no pun intended. I am very excited for Injustice 2 story mode. So thank you for your question. And now moving on to the last question that we got for today, also on Twitter, coming from Tommy Brennan, at TommyBrennan98 on Twitter. And they ask, what do you think the schedule will be like for the DLC character releases? Now this is a great question, although it is very, very unpredictable. We have 9 DLC characters for the roster, and that is a 100% surefire thing. So they could do it the way in that they release maybe a DLC character a month for the next 9 months, just to keep the game relevant for nearly a year, or they just go all out and they start, you know, like they do 3 characters this month, 3 characters the next month, and then the last 3 characters in the final month, you know, in consecutive 3 months. We're going to have to wait and see how that all goes down. I would like it to be, you know, 1 character a month. That way we just get this longevity with the game, and everyone's continuously talking about Injustice 2 for months on end. I think the game is going to be relevant for a long time. It seems like they're doing a lot of good stuff with game modes and with the multiplayer and everything, so I'm not too worried about that. But if they do the DLC release in that they release a character a month, then it just provides some good longevity for the game, as people are continuously talking and buzzing about what the next DLC character is going to be for the following month. And that pretty much rounds out the Q&A video that we got for today. Thank you everyone who sent in your questions. And for anyone who wants to send in your questions for a future installment, it's very simple. Just leave a question, whether that be in the comment section of this video or on any of my social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, linked in the description box below. Just make sure when you leave your question that you use the hashtag #AskCaboose. That way I know you are looking to be a part of the series and you're not just sending me a general question for me to maybe answer on any of these social media platforms. With all that said, I'm Caboose XBL. Once again, if you can leave a like on this video, it shows your support and I would really appreciate it. And you can click on screen to make your way to one of the other videos on the channel, or you can click my logo to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Please follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and like me on Facebook. Those links are in the description. Drop a like if you enjoyed, leave a comment if you have an opinion, and subscribe if you're new. See you guys later.